A very good evening once again, dear viewers. Welcome to my channel. And I am so happy to be back with another very relevant video, which I just presented in a webinar. And since it's a little long, I'll hurry through the whole thing so that not much of your time gets involved. I won't say it gets wasted, but yes, there is an involvement. So here is the presentation. I'll have to move a little, one sec. Okay, so here we are. This topic today is strictness in the classroom. And I've given it a subtitle as a tightrope walk between order and oppression. So there's a very fine line between. So before we actually start off with this, just, kind of have a view in your mind or kind of a scenery in your mind. What is a classroom like when there is a very strict discipline enforced and where there is a little bit of leniency or lots of leniency? So the entire scenario changes. Now, this is what I'm going to discuss today, that how much should be the degree of strictness in the classroom. So, sorry. Here we are. Now, strictness in the classroom is exactly what? What do we mean by the term strictness? It's a very complex issue. And at times, what happens is when you try to douse the flame on one side, it catches fire on the other side. So it's a very complex issue which cannot be just termed, or it cannot be classified into something small. It's a certain level of structure and discipline, which is definitely important for any learning environment. There have to be rules in any activity that we do. We have social rules, we have ethical rules. So even in the classroom or in the school, there have to be a set of rules which everyone, all members, all stakeholders need to follow. So where does this strict become detrimental to the child's growth? How does it come in the way of being productive and not so productive? And it takes away the pleasure of the educational experience. That's what we are going to discuss today. So if I have to define strictness, this is how I will. Strictness is something which is beyond a certain enforcement of rules, and it encompasses itself in three main ways. One is high expectations from a child. I mean, we sort of build such high castles around them and we tell them that you have to climb it. So it's a kind of academic performance which is very, very demanding. And also their personal accountability is put at stake. Second is to have very strict guidelines and we set certain rules for them, certain well-defined rules of conduct and behavior. And third is, if the results are not achieved, if they are not gained, then we implement some disciplinary measures for breaking of rules, which may not be very savory. They are unsavory. And what are the kinds of strictness that we can see in the classroom? How does it manifest itself? The first is having a very strict dress code. Wear this, don't wear this. This hairstyle not allowed. These shoes not allowed. Black shoes are there, but they have to have pointed shoes or pointed toes or round toes. The laces have to be of a certain kind. I mean, there could be just about any very funny kind of a very strict dress code. The second is to have a rigid routine. This has to be done. This is not to be done. Then punitive discipline, something which, certain rules which may not be very welcome by most of the students. I will not name them, but yes, there are schools who do enforce certain rules only in the name of discipline. Discipline is something very different, and to have punitive rules and consequences is definitely not the order of the day. And the worst part is limited autonomy. Teachers, this is what teachers usually do. They make the children do a certain work in a very certain way. And if they try to put in their own creativity, they are, they're punished or they are insulted in front of the class. So this is, what happens when we have very strict rules followed by different stakeholders in a school. it has different kinds of impact on students. So first, I'm going to discuss the positive impacts of discipline on students. They learn to focus. I mean, when children follow rules, their lives and their academics becomes structured and focused. They know what is to be done, so they just do that instead of simply, beating around the bush. The second is they learn to become responsible. They learn what is accountability. They know that they have to take charge of certain situations. So it does make them accountable and responsible. And also, there is some amount of improved achievement because they know what is to be done. They know exactly what has to be accomplished. So they follow that cue and they generally achieve what is expected of them. Now coming to the negative impacts. Now, first is anxiety and stress. It could even lead them to nervous breakdown. Sometimes the anxiety takes the better of them and they become nervous wrecks. Second is obviously their motivation gets reduced because they know whatever they do, they will not be appreciated, because a few teachers, unfortunately, have this habit of favoring certain children. So because of favoritism also, there could be reduced motivation. Third is suppressed creativity. Like I know of teachers who write down answers on the blackboard. Children have to copy those and the same questions come in the exam. So where is the child's creativity? It has gone for a 6. This is very detrimental on the creativity of students in general. And if these things continue, then obviously the child will get de-alienated. He de-alienates himself from the mainstream and he gets or she gets disengaged, and they always disagree with anything and everything because they know that their ideas are not welcome. This is the most important thing that we as educators need to do. We have to find a balance. It's like walking on a tightrope, that if the moment you lose your balance, you fall. So how do we do this? We have to have very clear-cut rules. They have to be communicated very clearly. This is to be done because of this reason. If there are any rules, why are they being followed? Because children do not have that kind of understanding. So they have to be told why a certain rule is to be followed. Teachers and educators have to be fair and consistent in their behavior. If a child is not to your liking, but if he or she does good work, appreciate them. Be consistent in your attitude towards them. Positive reinforcement always works better. Rewards are always better than punishment. So if a child does a thing, which is good or correct, reward them with a pat on the back. If you can't touch them, give them cards, give them something, maybe a small little bud, a rose or something, some flower, so that they feel that, okay, whatever they've done, it is being appreciated. Open communication is different from clear communication. Here, the children have the freedom to go and share their problems, their emotional, setbacks with somebody in the school. It could be a counselor, it could be the head of a certain subject, it could be the vice principal, rather than straight away walking to the principal. There are so many more other teachers and educators in the school whom they can approach, and they should be welcome, right? Because it's their betterment which is the prime motive of having a school. Individualized approach also needs to be followed, because all children are not the same. We cannot treat them like animals. They cannot be directed with one stick. So the teachers have to be very, very, sensitive to the requirements of different kinds of children. None of them is the same. And the school administration's role is very important in the way that they have to establish clear guidelines for teachers, the do's and don'ts. This you can do, but this is definitely not allowed. They must cater for professional development so that the teachers learn the new techniques of education and implementation of the new policies, and also how to have discipline in the class. So they need refresher courses for this kind of professional development, and certificates should be given to teachers also to make them feel more appreciated and rewarded for their efforts. And at the same time, the administration in the form of the principal or the subject head or the vice principal, they must monitor the practices done by the teacher in the class. There should be rounds taken so that, if there's any untoward incident which has happened, it should be reported immediately. And also, it's not just that the teachers are actually teaching in the right perspective. A culture of open communication is to be established where everybody has the freedom, the liberty to voice their opinion. Of course, it should be done in a very amicable manner. It should not be, like the way unfortunately, the way our politicians communicate with each other. We are educated people. We must learn to behave like educated people. So if we discuss our problems openly, then definitely there will be an end to our problems. And how do we redeem the situation if it has gone bad or it's out of the hands? This is how we do. Teachers should be made to understand their responsibility, that you are here for the betterment of students, but just in case they are not behaving, please report to the principal or to the parents, because communication is the key to success. Students must realize if there are rules, they must be made to understand that rules are made to be followed, because we are not animals. Yes, we are social animals, but we have a society, and there are certain ways and conduct of behavior which need to be followed. The administrators should have an open mind. They should understand that it's not just one party which is always wrong. Sometimes the teacher could be wrong. Sometimes the students could be wrong. So again, before taking a decision, don't be judgmental. Find out the truth about a certain situation and then handle it to the best of your ability. And last but not the least, the parents, who are the one of the most important stakeholders in the field of education, they must collaborate with the school authorities. They must collaborate with the teacher. They must make the student understand, their child or their ward understand. They must make the child understand that teacher is not there to suppress you. She's there to guide you towards excellence. So in case she gets angry, because she could have mood swings, rather than complaining, later on, go and find out what the reason is. Because once they grow up and they get into their vocational field, there'll be so many setbacks they'll have to suffer. So if they start early, it's going to be better for them. A teacher's admonition doesn't really mean much, but when you grow up and you attend offices and there you are blasted for the smallest of mistakes, you have to be ready for that. So we need to prepare our children. And in conclusion, I'll say that this was just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much that has to be thought about and catered to. Strictness in a class is a double-edged sword. As long as it's working fine, it's good. But the moment you waver a little, it's going to be detrimental. It's going to wound you, a wound which may not get sorted out, or it doesn't get okay very easily. So we need to find a balance between strictness and firmness. Strictness is being, overtly vocal about your feelings, being rude, shouting in the class. Being firm is the best. You do this or you don't do this, you are going to suffer for it. Not because I'm going to penalize you, but later on in life, if you do not follow certain rules, you will suffer on your own. And I want this to be done. Jolly well do it. I'm waiting. So rather than shouting, I think your firmness will definitely play a big role in the implementation of discipline and the certain, those rules of conduct in the class, and of course, academics. So if we do all this, then we'll definitely be able to create an atmosphere of love and learning in the school, because these two things go side by side. You cannot separate them. Children need to be loved. They have to be guided. And we have to see that ultimately it's they who progress in their lives. So this is just the starting point of our exploration of this very complex topic. We need to learn to draw a line between being strict, being rude, and being firm and polite. So as you delve deeper into this, I think, there are very different contexts. There are different kind of children. So we cannot really generalize the facts, but what I've said today, it's something which encompasses most of our schools and children, and of course the teachers and administrators. Individual differences will be there, but there'll be changes also. The educational scenario is going to change, it's going to evolve, but certain basic things will always remain the same, and that is discipline and control in the class. So thank you, my dear viewers, for being here with me and being patient. I hope I wasn't, my presentation wasn't too long and boring, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you for being over here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for the likes, and I'm still waiting for some good comments. Please do share these videos. I'm doing this work very selflessly, and if you do that, you're going to help me in creating more awareness about education, good education, and it's going to benefit our teaching fraternity as well. So bye-bye. Thank you so much once again. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.